Oh, Ted. Dropped his ink pen.
We got one more, looks like, isn't it?
Yeah, there's one more.
Yeah, come on.
I
Like the hill,
did,
I believe.
I mean, the light changed colors and went from flashing to solid. He said it took about a minute for this one to come on. That's what he said. And that's why he said try to turn it on about a minute before, so, but I believe they're both on and recording now. Here's your info and pledge today.
Pardon,
Who's the invocation and who's the pledge?
those two in the corner.
Two Steves.
Mr. Jennings will do the invocation and
I'll
Mr.
do the pledge.
Schultz will do the pledge. He's been practicing.
Tell Kelly's not here, we don't even have an official group.
I forgot about that deal.
Is Cal off for the week, or what, does she take off for the week?
That camera says funny.
Good evening, it's 7:30, November 25th, 2019. Time to call the regular meeting, Washington Courthouse City Council to order. We'll begin with Mr. Jennings with the invocation, and Mr. Schultz will lead us in the pledge.
As this is the beginning of Thanksgiving week, let's bow our heads for the invocation. Dear Lord, we want to thank you for the way you supplied our needs and the needs of our families. We woke up in a home this morning warm and well rested. We have access to clean drinking water, plenty of food to eat, and a safe home. We have clothing and shoes to keep us comfortable and dry. What you have provided is more than sufficient. Please help us to remember that our resources are yours and help us to be a blessing to others. Amen.
Amen. Let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Steve, and Steve.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. We'll be here all evening.
We'll be returning next week.
Okay, how about roll call, please?
Hernandez,
Here,
Jennings,
Here.
Johnson, Schultz,
Here.
Lynch,
Here.
Hawk,
Here.
Chrisman.
Here.
Make a motion to excuse Mr. Johnson from the meeting this evening.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Hernandez,
yes.
Jennings,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes. Moving on to approval of minutes of the regular council meeting held November 13th, 2019. Any changes, questions, comments?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from our last meeting on 11/13/2019.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Jennings,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes. Next is the minutes of the council work session held November 18th, 2019. Any comments, questions, changes?
I'll make a motion to accept, Mr. Chairman.
Second,
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Hernandez,
yes.
Jennings,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes. Moving into the business session, Mr. Denon, any communications?
None.
Thank you. Report of council committees. Mr. Jennings.
Finance and Personnel meeting. The Finance Personnel Committee met in the lower level conference room 105 North Main Street on Monday, November 21st, 2019 at 5 p.m. Mr. Steve Jennings, that would be me, presided, and those in attendance were Mr. Dale Lynch, council member, Mr. Steve Schultz, council member, Mr. Caleb Johnson, council member, Mr. excuse me, Ted Hawk, council member, Ms. Kendra Hernandez, council member, Mr. Jim Chrisman, council chairperson, Mr. Tom Riley, finance director, Mr. Mark Pitstick, city attorney, Mr. Joseph Denon, city manager. The committee benefited from a review of the statement of cash for the month ending in October. The committee noted that the last payment on the water bond was made on November 1st, 2019. Committee benefited from a review of the investment City of Washington Courthouse. Mr. Riley advised the committee that the city continued to receive good bond rating. The committee recommended that a supplemental appropriation be brought to council. Committee noted that applications were being received for positions at the street department and wastewater department. And the committee noted that interviews had begun for police patrol position. Respectfully submitted by me, chairperson, finance and personnel, Mrs. Kelly Ford, excuse me, again, recording secretary.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Jennings.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes. Looks like the blue sheet is up, Ms. Hernandez.
Yes. The Economic Strategies and Cooperation Committee met in the lower level conference room of 105 North Main Street on Monday, November 18, 2019 at 4 p.m. I presided, and those in attendance were Mr. Steve Schultz, council member, Mr. Steve Jennings, council member, Mr. Dale Lynch, council member, Mr. Caleb Johnson, council member, Mr. Ted Hawk, council member, Mr. Jim Chrisman, council chairperson, Mrs. Chelsea Baker, Economic Development Director, Mr. Mark Pitstick, City Attorney, and Mr. Joseph Denon, City Manager. Number one, the committee reviewed progress with industrial development. The committee noted discussions with past prospects along with new business prospects continued. Number two, the committee reviewed progress with downtown buildings and businesses. The committee noted interest in several buildings and recent business purchases. The committee expressed encouragement of the continued growth in the downtown area. Number three, the committee noted the success of the recent Shop Hop and encouraged participation with the upcoming Downtown Live Shop Hop on December 13th. Number four, the committee noted the success with the Small Business Spotlight. Number five, the committee noted a meeting was held with a potential company derived from a Buxton lead. The company noted the positive response with Buxton's guidance regarding business prospects for the community. Respectfully submitted, myself and Ms. Kelly Ford, recording secretary.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
I'll make a motion to accept, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Jennings.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes. Reports of city officials. Mr. Denon, City Manager.
Thank you. Would like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving as we are in the countdown to Turkey Day. The agenda tonight, the two pieces of legislation you have is the appropriation for next year and this year's supplemental. This year's supplemental is largely driven by the fact that we were able to start the wastewater treatment plant project this year. So that's the majority of that supplemental appropriation. We're always proud of the fact that we're able to get through the year with typically one annual appropriation, and then you have one supplemental appropriation towards the end of the year, which can add or deduct funds. That is so that we balance out correctly or near correctly for the end of the year and everything looks the way it should. A little bit about next year's budget. The budget proposal for the City of Washington Courthouse for 2020 is what I'll be talking about. Explaining a budget in a speech or a letter like this is always incredibly difficult because trying to condense all that information down into a format and in a length of time that is manageable and that really holds people's attention is quite difficult. Therefore, I'm going to talk about a couple themes tonight. 2020 is the fifth year that Fund 101 will impact the budget of the City of Washington Courthouse. The creation of Fund 101 by the taxpayers has allowed the retirement of 5 property taxes and increased support for fire, police, street lighting, and the cemetery. Further, Fund 101 has created stability in the general fund. Simply, Fund 101 allows the strengthening of local basic services in a fiscally responsible manner. 2020 happens to be a year in which 27 pays will occur for the City of Washington Courthouse. Even in years without an extra day in February, there is the potential for additional paydays if the payroll is weekly or biweekly. 365 days do not divide evenly into the 7 days of the week. In any year with 365 days, there will be 6 days of the week that occur 52 times and 1 day of the week that will occur 53 times. In a leap year with 366 days, 5 days of the week occur 52 times and 2 days of the week occur 53 times. So where we pay biweekly, when you have an extra pay, that puts considerable pressure on the budget, in particular in the general fund, because the general fund is personnel heavy. When we do early next year the fiscal summary, if you remember from year to year, because we've been doing that for several years, if you split out personnel expenses and everything else in the general fund, the general fund is overwhelmingly driven by personnel expenses, where if you take a fund like water, it's the exact opposite, where it is materials, supplies, equipment that drive the water budget as opposed to people. So in a 27 pay year, that's a bit of a challenge for the general fund. The 2020 budget also commits significant resources to paving and replacing durable equipment used by the service department, along with addressing the capital needs of the fire and police departments. These investments allow the city to continue to support the needs of citizens. In particular, in the prior year, significant progress was made in addressing the equipment needs of the service department. Fiscal pressure from projects like Leesburg Avenue and Washington Avenue was introducing challenges in the fulfillment of services needs. However, with the completion or near completion of those two large street investments, resources are liberated for other pressing needs. Next year, you have the wastewater treatment project, which is huge, but you'll have the Temple Street Bridge project, which in terms of expenses compared to Washington Avenue is considerably less. In water, Fund 520, debt retirement allows considerable resources to be spent on addressing capital and/or equipment needs. The City of Washington Courthouse is proud that resources were carefully managed to allow this point to be reached. Now these resources that were devoted to paying the debt that acquired the water system can be deployed to the benefit of the citizens of Washington Courthouse and allow for improvements in water infrastructure. We've been very careful to manage that money through the years, so that we would get to this point where you'll have that money and you'll be able to invest that in the system. And there are many things that we need to do in the system, but that has worked out exceptionally well for us, and we're incredibly pleased with that. In late 2019, this year, vast improvements to the wastewater system were commenced. In 2020, wastewater improvements will gain in momentum, and therefore considerable expenses are forecast in the 2020 budget. These expenses are funded by near zero interest borrowing and the revenues of the wastewater fund. The improvements made in wastewater are long term and will serve the needs of our community for 30 or more years. That is phase one of that multi-phase plan. But we have hopes that phase one, given its scale, will address the issues that we have in the wastewater system. The various tax increment financing TIF funds of the community have resulted in considerable economic benefit and permitted the construction of infrastructure that otherwise would not have been built. In the past two budgets, rebalancing of the various TIF funds utilized resources from TIF Fund 330 to address temporary challenges with the two other TIF funds of the city. This budget does not call for those actions that you've seen in the prior two budgets because it's not necessary. That problem's taken care of. Excluding wastewater, the major capital project of this budget is the reconstruction of the Temple Street Bridge. With assistance from ODOT, the bridge will be improved to extend the serviceable life of the structure. the local commitment required to satisfy our part of that project. You got ODOT money, you got our money in it. Some of it will come out of the bridge fund and the other will come out of capital fund. That's how we pay for that. The 2020 budget proposes additional dollars for paving. The last 2 years of unusually wet weather have encouraged premature degradation of street pavement. The 2020 budget increases repayment funding to address this issue. However, the increase in repayment funding will need to be sustained for at least 3 years. The other challenge that you'll have there, the additional gas tax revenue, that will help out considerably. But the cost of pavement isn't something that remains fixed. That floats with the market. And you got everybody else with more gas tax money. So we're going to have to see how that works when we bid out the street paving program to see how far we can get and how that's working out for us. The gas tax money, that will help considerably, but the cost of pavement can fluctuate. So we'll have to see how we get along there. In the past, I've noted that funds are accumulating in the safety building fund. Given reasonable economic conditions, the balance of the safety building fund will continue to grow over debt payments. I don't like to make predictions that exceed collections, but you're at the point where it's almost a foregone conclusion that you'll be able to retire that tax early. And again, you don't like to speculate about that because you can't guarantee the future, but that's almost a foregone conclusion at this point in time. The fiscal position of the City of Washington Courthouse is good. The administration collectively believes that the proposed budget funds the operations of the City of Washington Courthouse in an adequate manner. I also believe that investments proposed in infrastructure will serve the community well for many years into our future. Now, when we do the budget, that involves every department of the city. They'll make their budget proposals. Finance will go through them. I will go through them. And before we get to the point where we recommend and have the budget work session, Mr. Pitstick, myself, and Mr. Riley will all three agree that this budget works. And you know, some people, they translate federal issues to a local level. This year, when I gave you the budget proposal, I also printed out the last graph that we did from the last time we did the fiscal summary that shows you total income and total expenses, and also the same thing from the general fund. The only reason that I did that was really to remind you that we don't have the ability to spend more than resources allow. If we want to borrow money, we have to deal with banks in the real world, and they want to know how they're going to get paid back. You don't have the ability just to print cash. So we're in very decent shape there. We're very happy with that budget. And in particular, it will go a long way to addressing some of the equipment needs that we have in service. You supply some more money for paving, and you march along with that project at the wastewater treatment plant, which is for us a very large construction project. And that's tonight's report.
Any questions for Mr. Denon or comments?
Nice work.
Thank you.
Good question, Joe.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Temple Street Bridge, will that have to be shut down for a period of time? I assume it probably will. Because it's kind of a narrow bridge. It'd be hard to keep one lane open.
I would say that, yeah, you're going to have to.
I just had
The
to
nature
think
of what
you
that they
were
do, you're going to have to.
Yeah, they would, that's at Temple Street, yeah, because there'd be a lot of pressure in that area, because there's a lot of people coming
Heck
out.
yes.
There.
Backside of Kroger's, and it's just a mess along there anyway, so, wow. I see.
But if you,
You can't do it the other way.
most of the time, you know, you look at a bridge from the top side of it, you get out there and you look at the bottom side of it, it needs some work.
And one of the problems you had this year, Joe, with paving is just getting blacktop, getting enough when you wanted it.
That can be a challenge because with more dollars circulating for paving, there's still only a limited number of paving crews to put the stuff down. That's a challenge.
There's a paving, which funds that come out of, the general fund?
More than one.
I was gonna say, there's several, okay.
There's several places we take that out of.
Okay.
The biggest chunk comes out of the capital fund.
The capital fund.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between capital fund and general fund?
Yes.
Yeah.
I should say, typically we call it the capital fund. It's actually technically the permanent improvement fund.
Okay,
But no, it is a distinct separate fund
Okay.
from the general
all
fund.
right, thank you.
If you look at that budget, the general fund will be Fund 100 and the capital fund will be Fund 402.
Okay, thank you.
As Mr. Jennings said, I'd like to thank you and all the employees that helped with the budget.
Yeah, that's,
It's a group effort. It takes
a lot of work.
Takes a bunch of people.
Mhm.
Rusty got his feet wet this year. And did a good job.
Canary took care of the majority of the number
general, let's look at the capital fund.
Okay. Director of Finance, I don't think's in the house. We'll pass on him, I guess. Mr. City Attorney.
I have no report.
Thank you. We have no local residents and taxpayers signed up. Legislation previously introduced, none. New legislation in writing, ordinance number 8, 2019, first reading.
I move that replace ordinance number 8, 2019, first reading.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Jennings.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Ordinance number 8-2019. Amending ordinance number 2, 2019 by providing supplemental appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Washington Courthouse, Fayette County, Ohio during fiscal year ending December 31, 2019.
Thank you. Next is ordinance number 9, 2019, first reading.
I'll move we place ordinance number 9, 2019 on first reading.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Jennings.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Ordinance number 9-2019, first reading, an ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Washington Courthouse, Fayette County, Ohio during fiscal year ending December 31, 2020.
Thank you. Miscellaneous, Ms. Hernandez.
Oh, okay. I got my dates written down today. Okay, so all kinds of things are going on as the whole entire world. But I always cheer for the downtown. So we've got Shop Small, which is sponsored by American Express. That is this Saturday, November 30th. So I'd appreciate anyone if you have an opportunity to support your small little guys, not just downtown, everywhere. So that's really important. As a small merchant, you look forward to that day because it's one, an opportunity to see and gain more customers, but also it's usually a good financial day to get you started in the right direction for Christmas because it's busy. Then on Saturday, we have the parade on the December 1st, which is crazy. I can't believe it's already here. So, and that will be, I believe that a lot of the merchants will be open for a short period of time on that day, prior to the parade and maybe after the parade. But I'm excited because the parade, we're hoping, are they definitely using our sound system for the parade?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting because you won't have to just stand in one area. The whole downtown will be able to hear the MC. And
It's
then
on Saturday, Kevin?
Sunday,
Sunday.
December 1st. Shop Small Saturday. Okay, and then Downtown Live is December 13th. I know I've already talked about that, but I'm so excited. I already have high school students from Washington and Trace that are going to be participating, which I think is a wonderful thing because they then are taking ownership of our community. Along with all the merchants downtown will be open. We have live bands, we have live carolers from our community. It's just a community event, and if you haven't been there, you need to be there because it makes you feel like this is what small town is all about. It's the positive parts of being in the small town. So that is on December 13th, or Friday. That's it. Happy Turkey Day.
Thank you. Mr. Lynch.
Well, I know you were hoping like last time that I would be silent, but no such break this time.
We paid for it, huh?
You paid for it, yeah. Anyway, since it is going to be Thanksgiving this week, I got to thinking about, as oftentimes we do at this time of year, about what you're thankful for. And so I got a quote. The quote is, "Whoever would be great among you must be your servant." Quote of Jesus Christ. And I was thinking about what I was thankful for. And it is the fact that I am just completing, I think, my 14th year of being able to serve this community. And I really am thankful that the people of Washington Courthouse have given me that opportunity. But before I get too big ahead, I was also thinking about the fact that I believe Mr. Chrisman is ending his 24th year of serving this community, not only on city council, but he's one of those people that decided to stay in this community when he graduated, start a successful business, and be a contributing part of the community in a lot of different ways. And then I got to thinking about the person at the end of the table, Mr. Jennings, who was winding up his last month of serving on city council. And Mr. Jennings decided that he wanted to serve our country in the Air Force, I believe, Mr. Jennings. Then when he came back, he decided he wanted to serve our community on the police force. He served our community on the Charter Commission, and then obviously has served our community as a member of City Council. So when it comes to being thankful, I am thankful that we have people like I have just talked about who have decided that whoever would be great among you must be your servant. And so, Mr. Jennings, as you wind down your last month, I would say thank you. Mr. Chrisman, you got elected for another 4 years, and that is absolutely amazing. And so that's what I'm thankful for.
Thank you.
And you can be thankful, but now I'm shutting up.
You're gonna make me cry.
Never. Cry because you laughed
Mr.
so
Hall,
hard.
you're up. Thank
Show
you.
and tell.
Yes, I'm grateful for everything that Mr. Lynch has said, and I got some more stuff too. You know, it's often said that people don't want to stay in our town; they move away, but I think even a more important thing is the fact that our people, when they go to other places of the world, they serve and they take the qualities that have been created in them by having lived in this town. I know there's people all over the world that contribute to things large and small. My parents were some of them. Many people have served in the military and have traveled all over the world. Many have not been able to come back because they sacrificed everything. And there's just so many business people that have been around the world and have gone to other places to contribute. There was a time when there were a lot of inventions here from our town that were used all over the world, especially agriculture and the medical field and different things. So I'm just grateful for all of that, and I'm grateful to have had the privilege of being able to call this my community. And just a couple of examples. I don't know, this is I think a popular game that you see around Washington Courthouse, and it's called Washington Courthouse Opoly. And it features our town and many things about it. And this right here is a painting that my granddaughter made, and she lives in Jackson, Mississippi, or Clinton, Mississippi, which is right next to Jackson. This one right here is the fall, and then on the other side is this is for the fall, and then this is for the winter. And she brought this. She's visiting with us, and she's like a sophomore, or she's in high school, and I think maybe a freshman. Anyway,
Lord have mercy.
She goes to
I think she
school, huh?
did a really good job.
She did.
And
She did.
so we continue to contribute with our talents and things that we learned. We have a real pioneering spirit here in this town, and people aren't afraid to go out and share it with other people in the world. And so I'm thankful for all of that and many other things. So I like this time of year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schultz.
Well, you know, everything's been said, it seems like, but I'm very thankful also for living in this community, that you could have a city you could live in and feel safe and secure in, and you could raise your children here, and hopefully someday we can retire here. So those are great things to be thankful about, and everything that Kendra said about the downtown. It's a lot of things going on for the Christmas season coming up. That Christmas Live, I'm telling you, Downtown Live, you really want to be there for that one. That is fantastic. So it's probably unlike anything you'll see anywhere around here. So and all the things going on in our town. So it's exciting to live here, like you said. It's a great place to live, and I think we all should be thankful for that. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Jennings.
Well, first, I'm thankful for sitting down here, because that helps me get a tear dried by the time you mentioned that and it got down to me. So, thank you, Mr. Lynch. And, you know, my gosh, the number of things we all can be thankful for, they're just too great to mention. Starting with living in this country, free and voting situations where we can all vote and have a say. You know, our safe community, or as mentioned here, water, just, I mean, on and on and on. So I'm just grateful for those things, and hopefully I find myself at least, if not once, more than once each day, being thankful for something and recognizing how blessed we all are. So, and with that, wonderful Thanksgiving for everybody and their families.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. I'll eat too much, of course, like I always do. And thanks to the drug enforcement, where they had the, 59 arrests and 60-some indictments. I'm assuming we were in on it somewhere, so.
Very little, we assisted, however, that was through the task force. We helped track a few down, and mainly ours was on intel, things of that nature.
But it all was an effort from everybody.
Absolutely.
Sure. So thanks for the good work. And thank you, Mr. Lynch. And seems like I'm forgetting something, but how about a motion for adjournment? That's probably what I forgot.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you. Ah, daggone, we didn't set a record. Roll call, please.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Jennings.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Hessman.
Yes, meeting adjourned. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming, everybody. All three of you.
Fantastic.